What is up, everybody? My name is Nick, and thank you so much for joining me for another installment of Hidden Histories, where we go over the salacious details of some of history's most famous people. It seems I've most recently been focused on gay white men, but that's just where I'm coming from. It's a place of familiarity, I think is what it is. If I was a opium-addicted spinstress, then I would talk about Louisa May Alcott. Or if I was a very hungry lesbian, then we would be going over Gertrude Stein. Sometimes I do feel like both of those things though, so let me know in the comments if you want me to diversify the people that we're talking about, because I can definitely do it. In my last video I covered Oscar Wilde, so I thought it would be fitting for this issue of Hidden Histories to talk about what I consider to be kind of like his American counterpart, Mr. Walt Whitman. Also known as the Good Gray Poet, and the author of the book of poetry Leaves of Grass, which he revised and reissued 6 times over the course of his life. So not only was Walt Whitman American, but he was like the epitome of American. He loved like working class people and being outside and having a beard. His patriotism was well documented in his work. I feel like without him, there would be no Bruce Springsteen, or even that thing where people shout USA at baseball games. Is it baseball games? Football games? Any game. Have you ever been in a crowd where people start chanting USA? Because it's very confusing. Touchdown USA! Like, I get where we are geographically. I don't see why we have to yell it again and again. Walt Whitman, on the other hand, loved sporting events, so that's one thing we didn't have in common. America didn't always love him though. They had problems with his indecency, because his poems often had very frank descriptions of the human body, and he was a proponent of self-love, meaning masturbation. So he was ahead of his time in that way. That was kind of maybe a more European thing. Walt Whitman was a gay. You could tell the moment you met him, and if you couldn't tell because you were clueless, then you probably could tell just from reading his work. I hate it, by the way, when people say that they can tell that I'm gay from the instant they meet me. It's like, I didn't ask you, bitch. I can usually tell if someone's an idiot from the second that I meet them. I don't broadcast it. Better off not knowing. Like, how is that information gonna help me so I can act less gay in the future? Not gonna happen. Change is too hard. I'm just gonna live my best gay life. It's what Walt would have wanted. Walt had a very distinct type of man. He loved what he described as rude, illiterate men, meaning like salt of the earth guys, garbage men, and bus drivers, and people who work on boats, I guess. He would pick up these men on the streets of Manhattan, and he had a little black book where he would record all of their attributes. For instance, William Culver, boy in bath, aged 18. Speaking of people being in baths, that's what Walt Whitman really loved to do. He's lived out the last part of his days just chilling in a bathtub, getting drunk off of whiskey, and singing the Star-Spangled Banner. It was during his time as a nurse in the Civil War that Walt Whitman developed a huge crush on Abraham Lincoln, and who wouldn't? With a hat that tall, sign me up. And as I mentioned in my William Shakespeare Hidden History, there are a lot of people who think Abraham Lincoln was capable of having a crush back on Walt Whitman. Not that they ever met, but he was gay, is what I'm saying. Everybody's gay. Everybody's gay. 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 I choose to believe it. It was during that last period of his life that Walt Whitman and Oscar Wilde actually met. In 1888, Oscar Wilde traveled from Ireland and met with Walt Whitman, and they were huge fans of each other right off the bat. Oscar Wilde told Walt Whitman that his mother used to read Leaves of Grass to him when he was a boy, and they instantly kissed. It's so cute. And then they went on drinking elderberry wine and hot toddies, getting drunk together and talking about how poetry is amazing. Oscar Wilde was so keyed up, he was bragging to all of his friends, "The kiss of Walt Whitman is still on my lips." Walt Whitman was just as smitten with Oscar. He referred to him as a fine, large, handsome youngster, which would be like literally the best compliment. Someone call me that. Except I don't know if I like large. Larger than life, for sure. Look at my gestures. So grand. Another interesting fact about Walt Whitman is that he was really into phrenology, the idea that you can feel the physical characteristics of someone's skull to determine what their mental characteristics would be. We were kind of stupid in the past. We thought the weirdest shit. Victorian France, we thought that water was actually bad for you, so everyone was walking around smelling like a dead rat. And if you had a disease, we were like, oh, it's because your blood is bad. We gotta get that blood out of you. All of it. We're gonna start over with fresh blood. Where are the leeches? Feeling the skull, like, all I know is that the back of my skull is inordinately thick and that I have a caveman ridge on my forehead. But I don't know how that affects my personality, other than, like, low self-esteem. Do as you do, Walt Whitman. I'm not gonna get on the phrenology train with you, but he did have his skull read, and he really agreed with the reading, probably because the guy said he was awesome and smart. Walt Whitman was not a humble man, but he was very talented, and so I hope you've enjoyed hearing about some of these lesser-known facts from his life. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments if there's any other historical figures you want to hear more about. You can follow me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and Vine for more stuff all day, every day. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.